You're listening to the Staging Sips podcast with Lori Fisher. This podcast is dedicated to helping real estate staging CEOs build healthy businesses that grow, flow, and thrive. We are celebrating over here at Staging Sips. We have hit 10,000 downloads, everybody. So congratulations and thank you. I am so happy with the community that we are growing here. And to thank you, I am hosting an open house, a Staging Sips open house, where you can come and ask me questions. We'll troubleshoot some things, and I'm going to share some exciting updates about the Staging Business School and a really great program that is going to be coming available very, very soon. So if you want to get the details and join us, you can go to rethinkhominteriors.com/open house to get yourself on the inside. All right, look forward to meeting you. So let's dive into today's episode, which is actually part one of a two-part series as we're continuing the celebration with our 10K downloads. I wanted to pull some gems from 10 of our most listened to episodes and roll them out to you. So this week are the first 5, and there's some really great stuff in here. So if you haven't listened to the episodes I'm mentioning and you like the little snippet you hear, definitely go back and listen to them. They're really phenomenal. So let's start off with episode 32. I've been through a lot of slow seasons, and this is a great one as we are getting into our busy season at the time of this recording, so that you can start thinking about what can you do in the busy season to start preparing your business better for having a slower season. It's a really good one. Enjoy. It started here. It started with going, okay, I'm going to have a 12-month, run of operational expenses that I need to cover in, at the time, like I said, 5-6 months worth of robust business. So I had to look at the profitability by job. So one of the things that I learned was that I actually didn't really know what was, how much time was being dedicated to each part of a job. So for vacant staging, for example, first thing I needed to do was I needed to actually start looking at how I priced our rental items. But then, because I wasn't really using any math based on that, so I started with that. I started looking at, okay, first thing I can do is increase profitability on our rental items. What are we approximately charging per item right now? And I definitely needed to bump that up. So I literally went through an exercise where I was like, okay, so every throw pillow that we have will get rented out at, I think I started at $5 because most of my pillows were $30 through Home Goods. And then I bumped that up over time. But I literally took every piece of thing we would put into a project and I priced it out so that I could get a realistic picture of what it would cost. And I created a spreadsheet, by the way, which is inside Rethink You. I created a spreadsheet that I used to itemize everything in each room. So I had a better picture of what we were renting out. And boy, was it eye-opening when I actually put real numbers and did real math. The next thing I did was we were using a time tracking app to track our time, but we weren't tracking it in a way that told me anything about what was happening during that time frame. So we started using an app called Get Harvest. Our team is in love with Harvest. The Harvest app is super easy to use. And what we did was we broke down for a vacant staging, we broke down that tracking time to the preview, to developing the quote, to creating the inventory needed list, all the admin associated with the back end of scheduling, the inventory pull, the installation, the D-stage. So we could find out how long it was taking to do each job, but we could also get a total of the hours that it was taking our team from start to finish, and restock as well. So we took, for each project, we divided each of those phases out. And when somebody was assigned for that activity, that's what they would clock their time to, so that we could see the total picture and we could see what was taking longer in each phase. And then we could make a plan to increase our revenue, but also increase our efficiency. So we really started to dive into what our like profitability analysis was all about when we were in those quieter times, because when you're in the busy times, you don't have time to do that. This integration time is a great time to begin to look at that and see, like, if a job seemed to be less profitable, why was it less profitable? Was there, was it in the city where you needed to use an elevator or you had to park further away? So how can you price those jobs more accurately in the future? Okay, moving on to our next one, episode 30, 4 ways to create a successful and fun home staging consultation. Because after all, we really want it to be fun for us and for our clients. There is some really great stuff in here. I've pulled out a little snippet, but there's so much more good stuff in here if you want a really actionable way and some things to put into your systems and processes for your consultations, whether they are occupied or vacant. HGTV doesn't truly help anyone understand a realistic picture of staging. We want to prepare our clients for what they could expect during our time together. And with each appointment scheduled, our clients receive 3 very important documents. The first is a short questionnaire. In order for our team to get to know our clients, even if we haven't had a direct sales conversation with them, since 99% of our clients are referred to us by our real estate partners, we created a short intake questionnaire so the homeowner can share information about themselves and their house. This helps us understand what they think are the assets and opportunities so we can lean into those during our appointment. This is also where we get permission to use use the before images in our marketing. I didn't always feel comfortable using people's before images for our marketing, especially when we're doing a consultation or an occupied, because I never wanted to be like, hey, look at this disaster and look at how we, made it look amazing. So I decided at a certain point, I was just going to add a checkbox, yes or no. Do we have your permission to share the before photos? So this way, everybody is giving consent to having their before as it is out there on the internet. So I still don't tend to show too many before and afters in our marketing for that, just in general. But I have permission. And the amazing thing is I really thought that most people would say no. And that is not the case. I think since we've implemented this, maybe in the last 6 years, I think we've only had less than a handful say no. So that's pretty amazing. So anyway, this questionnaire can be sent via your CRM, your customer relationship management tool, or in our case, we attach it when they schedule the appointment. Yes, we send it through our CRM. I would say the same thing, but you could also put it with your scheduler if you wanted to put it in your scheduling link. If you find that mostly sellers are booking with you directly, you can put it right in your, we use Acuity or Calendly or whatever you use, Honeybook, 17 Hats, whatever you use, you can add a short questionnaire to the scheduling process. We also have a welcome letter that we send. So when a client pays for their appointment and they schedule their appointment, we send them a really nice welcome email. This goes directly through our CRM, and it's really a celebration and an opportunity to set our experience off on a positive note. Our letter introduces us and lets our clients know that they're in really, really good hands with our team, and it lets them know our experience, and we value protecting their return on their time, energy, effort, and financial resources. So we're already setting the tone that we're thinking about return on investment, we're fun, we're easygoing, that they're going to like us. We also share what to expect. So in our welcome letter, we link to a document called What to Expect at Your Appointment. And the reason that we did this was because we would arrive to appointments and people would have cleared out their pantry or they would have reorganized all the closets. And of course, that's a really wonderful exercise because, sure, every one of those spaces counts. But when we're thinking about getting ready for photos, those spaces don't matter quite as much. So people didn't know, how to get started. They also would say, oh, oh, I love that thing. I can't believe you're having me take that out. So what we wanted to do was set the tone for the fact that what we're thinking about is photos first and foremost, that we are going to really start their pre-packing process, and that our recommendations are based purely on how the rooms will photograph, how they'll feel to their potential buyer, and that it has nothing to do with their style, their taste, or anything like that, that we're not divas. So once we started sending those things out, it was amazing how a lot of the times that we would end up in a really uncomfortable situation where a client felt wounded by our recommendations really went down a lot, just because they had had an opportunity to begin to understand where we're coming from during the appointment. So that's the first phase. So the first phase is just really that kind of pre-preparation, giving them as much information as possible. All right. And we're going all the way back to episode 1, how to take way better action in your staging business. Now, this concept that I'm rolling out in this episode, I discovered or really downloaded while I was on a trip to Mexico in a taxi. So I hope that you love it, because it literally is the foundation of everything we do inside of the Staging Business School. Enjoy this one. It's a really good one. So, our business results are the accumulation of all of our daily, weekly, monthly actions and decisions, right? Makes total sense. But I am sure at some point in your business, you had a specific goal that you wanted to achieve, and you knew that taking a specific set of actions or just a specific action was the path to getting you that goal, right? Whether it was growing your staging business, operating more efficiently or profitably, but you just don't do it. You just don't do it. We find ways to hide by doing things that don't get us to our goal. We don't go to the networking events. We don't spend time developing our speaking opportunities. We don't show up on social media. We don't send emails to follow up with people. We don't set up systems because we feel like we don't know how or we don't have time. And I'm sure that can be confusing to you. I know in my own business that I have found, when I find myself procrastinating or deciding to take on tasks that I know somebody else would be better doing, I always wonder, like, what's up with that? What's going on? Why am I not doing the things that will actually help me achieve the goal that I want? It's very confusing to be in that spot. But here's the thing. We have to take a step back when we find ourselves undermining our goal. We need to understand, we need to take a minute to learn and notice and become aware of what drives our actions and our decisions that either bring us closer to our desired results or take us away from our desired results. And that's really where this tool that I created comes in, and it's called the results triad. I created the results triad in order to evaluate my own business results, because I was noticing how often I was undermining myself and my own goals. And I took a lot of the learning that I had from business coaches and just people that inspired me to kind of break it down for myself in a really easy kind of assessment tool, is really what it is. So if I'm not hitting my result, it's a way for me to assess what is the issue. So having my first business coach, Fabienne Fredrickson, talk so much about mindset, as well as my current one, Toby Fairley, and then learning from people like Stacey Bayman, Brooke Castillo, I kind of took all of what I learned to create the results triad, and it's based on 3 things. Your results are based on your knowledge, your beliefs, and your actions. And I want to dive into each of those a little bit so that you can understand what I mean by them and how they all play together to get you to the result that you want. So knowledge, of course, is all of the how-to strategy kind of stuff. That's the stuff that all of us think we actually need, right? It's important. Knowledge is important because as many of us are just doing many of our business building activities for the first time, we need a fund of knowledge for that, right? And knowledge is very important to clearing blocks, improving clarity and understanding, and it can be a huge catalyst to making things happen in your business. But not always. This is the thing that I found so fascinating, was that when I first started with my business coach, Fabienne, I really thought I would be getting all kinds of how-tos, and we certainly did. But we got a ton of mindset stuff because knowledge alone is not super helpful if your beliefs are out of alignment with your goal. And so what do I mean by that? So let's use an example of learning how to play an instrument. So your desired goal is you want to learn how to play an instrument. So imagine this. You want to learn how to play an instrument, but your brain repeatedly tells you that you aren't good at it because, you're just learning and you're not familiar or comfortable and your, fingers don't operate the way they're supposed to. So your brain keeps telling you you're not good at it. What's the point anyway? Like, why did you even want to learn this in the first place? Like, it's not like you're going to go play, concerts for people. But at a certain point, you did want to learn how to play an instrument. You did have that goal in mind, but your brain is kind of sending you these competing messages. Maybe your brain's telling you that practice is too hard or it's boring or you don't actually have time. Geez, I didn't realize I don't even have time to practice this instrument that I really wanted to learn. So what do you think is the result of you and your brain telling you all of that? Most likely you're not going to learn how to play that instrument. You're going to justify 1,000 ways to Sunday why you aren't playing the instrument or why you aren't practicing in order to learn the instrument and why it was a silly goal in the first place. This is because beliefs are the bridge between knowledge and action. And as we said, it's those action steps that get you to the result. But without beliefs kind of in the middle of knowing what you have to do, they're not going to happen. And this is not your fault. Your brain, specifically your primitive brain, desires to keep you feeling safe. In fact, that's its whole function, right? It's to keep you comfortable. So it will create beliefs that help you do that. Beliefs like, I don't know what to say. I don't know who to talk to. I'm not good at this. I don't know how to do this. What if this upsets someone? And on and on and on. I'm sure you can think of 1,000 ways that your brain sends you messages to keep you safe. And now we're back to episode 5, boundary alignment for your home staging business. This one, if you don't have boundaries and you are jumping when people ask you and you're saying how high and which way and all of that, this is an episode for you, for the people pleasers specifically in the audience. This is a great one, so listen in. So again, let me go back to that definition. It's a deliberate system of guidelines to guide decisions and achieve rational outcomes. So let's unpack guide decisions, right? So this is where in your business, you really want to think about what are the things that could come up, right? So in the beginning, you may not know a lot of these. So let me give you some to think about. What if the client requests a last minute or off hours appointment? How do you decide how to handle that? What is the policy for that? What is considered a last minute request? What are considered your off hours appointments, right? How and when do you respond when you receive communication from a client in the off hours? So if you receive a text message, which very often realtors will do, or even investors that you become familiar with, they may send you a communication in the form of a text or a phone call that is outside the hours of your company's operations. If you've defined that, by the way, right? Again, we need to be deliberate and thoughtful about setting up off hours. So what happens? Do you respond then and there, or do you wait until your next business hours to respond? Because of course, for a lot of times our realtors and our investors, their on hours and off hours can be different than ours, right? What if a client requests a revision to a couple of things in the staging? How are you going to handle that? What is there a fee associated with that? Is there a minimum? If they are requesting to change out a vase and a lamp, does that meet your minimum? Is there something that you're not willing to replace without significant charge to the client? So if they're requesting the change out of a sofa, for example, that requires team to not only pick up the existing sofa, but to pick up a new sofa at your facility, or and to deliver it and then restyle it and all of that. That can lead to significant costs. So what happens in that case if you get a revision request? What if the house isn't ready when your team arrives? So what if the house is inaccessible because of, snow or construction debris or, obstructions, or internally it's not ready for your team to do an installation because there's still construction going on. There's still tradespeople on site. It hasn't been cleaned properly yet. What do you do? What if clients forget to notify you of a D-stage needed tomorrow because they have their walkthrough, their final walkthrough before, heading to sign over ownership? What do you do in that case? Do you charge for that? Do you not charge for that? What's considered, last minute? When do they need to notify you? When are clients expected to pay for your services? So do you deliver services with and invoice for work? Do you have it paid for upfront? What is the policy? And episode 15, 4 simple steps to selling your staging services way better. I love saying way better. But this is a really simple process that you can begin to think about as you listen to your clients, you hear what their problems are, and see how you can turn it into marketing for your business. It's amazing. We miss a lot of opportunity in our marketing. So let's break this down a little bit further so you can see how you can be incorporating the PDPT process in your marketing. So let's start with, we can use realtors as an example. And again, most people will say a realtor wants to sell for the most money and sell fast. Yes, no doubt. That is a result. So it's flawed to spend most of your marketing time there because we really need to be spending more time focusing on helping clients see themselves in a problem so that they are willing to seek the solution of fast sale for most money, correct? So after working with thousands of sellers, most think their house will sell quickly and for the most money anyway. And a realtor knows that if they price it right, it will sell, right? So that's sometimes not even the best thing to talk about. Most people already think that. They don't know that staging could help them do even more. So again, we need to tap in a little bit deeper. We need to tap into problems. So let's talk about realtors' problems. In our team's experience, here's what we see. We see that our agents really want to be more competitive in landing listings. So they know they have listing appointments and they know that there's a lot of competition there. So for many realtors who aren't established, and there are many out there who aren't established and they're still looking to build their book of business, they know they have a lot of competition to land listings. They also are confronted with unrealistic client expectations. The client thinks they'll get the same or more than their neighbor in a sale, but the realtor understands the comps and what they're looking at in this listing is not even close to what their neighbor's house looked like. Their neighbor's house looked so much better than this client. And the client has no clue. The client doesn't realize their house is dated, tired, or too full of items and won't photograph well, or is in poor condition or has condition issues. So the realtor has maybe been competitive, landed the listing, but they know that the listing is not up to par and that the client has some unrealistic expectations because, of course, we often know this because the client complains that the realtor is thinks the price is setting the price too low, right? Our realtors have clients who are coping with difficult situations. So it could be loss of loved ones, divorce, disability, kids, full-time jobs, needing to sell quickly for a job relocation. And they really want to help and they want to provide a lot of support to those clients, but they actually don't want to be involved in guiding all of the work or doing all of the work. Some realtors do. Those aren't necessarily the stager's ideal client. There are those that want to be focusing on their next listing. So they want to give the support. They just don't want to be the one doing the support. They want to provide a high level of service, but they also don't want to offend their clients. They understand that they've got a long relationship to go with a client, and telling them right off the bat that their house needs to be repainted or, I don't know, have just a complete renovation. They don't want to offend their clients by saying that something is dated, because they often don't have the language and the tools and the skill sets that we do as stagers in order to deliver that kind of information. They also want to get the listings on the market quickly, but at a high level due to the quality of listing photos. And if they want to do Matterport, like, they get it. They know that the house has to look really spot on in order for those things to be worth their marketing dollars, right? So, and the realtor is laying out a lot of marketing dollars. They'd love to recoup that, in the process. So but they want to do it quickly. And sometimes people have life circumstances that might make that difficult. So, those are all the problems that they're confronting, because they're looking at a seller who maybe has, tons of kids. They're working full time. Their time is limited. They have a lot to do in preparation, and it feels like it might be so much that they're not going to get this listing on the market for months and months and months. Okay. So those are the problems. So you can see like how you can describe those problems very effectively so that a realtor can be like, yes, oh my God, especially when they're in that scenario. I know that, Rethink Home Interiors, Lori and her team have talked about how difficult it can be when, to deliver information to a client that might seem sensitive, or if the house smells, and I don't want to do that. I want them to do that. Like, that is, they'll see themselves in that problem. All right. I hope you have loved those gems. And again, if you haven't listened to those episodes in their fullest, or you listened to them a long time ago, I think they're worth going back to. So enjoy. That is your sip for the week. I'll see you next week for part 2. 5 more episodes with some amazing information that you can circle back to. All right, bye for now. Look forward to seeing you over on the Staging Business School's Instagram page at Staging Business School. And again, if you want to join us for our open house to get some coaching and troubleshooting and all of that for your business, you can sign up at rethinkhomeinteriors.com/open house. Bye for now. See you next week.